My name is Mac McKelvey. I am the founder and CEO of SalientMG. We're a strategic marketing firm. We're here talking about all things innovation. Look, I'm a huge fan of Fandom, so we have amazing panelists to talk about different sectors. One of them, such a fan, foodie, Top Chef, on her way. She will be late, but we're going to start without her because we have amazing people to talk about things that are happening in the retail space, things that are happening in the sports place, things that are happening in the money space. So with that, let me introduce Nicholas Spiro, who is the Chief Operating Officer of Viral Nation. He will introduce everyone else. Please come up front, sit down, and enjoy.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Good morning. We got a great panel up here. Can everyone welcome Nicole Lappin, Andrea Perez, and Chantel Preston. Come on up. Come on up. All right. How's everyone doing today? Cool? Nice and chilly?
Yeah, just...
Yeah?
The earlier the better.
Okay.
Kill it in.
First day one. So we're here to explore fandom, and I think when you think about each of your industries in turn, there's kind of a different element to the delight of our audience and our fans. When you hear the phrase "fandom is the new funnel," what's the first thing that comes to mind? You can take a moment.
I'll go ahead
Please,
and start.
go.
So when fandom comes to my mind, I think about belonging. I think about community. I think about how can we bring them into part of our overall organization, not just being a fan. We want them to be part of our community with Love SF.
Okay. Love that.
I think about the multiplying power of someone that's a fan. Someone that is going to tell everybody about what they're about, such as we were just talking about Heated Rivalry.
Yes, we were.
Both fans.
Yes, we were.
Not affiliated, but do watch it. And when you really, really are a fan of something, you can't wait to tell other people about it.
Yeah, I think about this idea that we saw in 2008 with 1,000 true fans. And this, of course, came from Kevin Kelly, who is OG at Wired. And recently, Tim Ferriss has come out and said, now in the world of AI, where content is so commoditized, we need to actually think about 100 true fans. And what do those 100 true fans actually want? And in our vertical in finance, I actually think of it as 10 true fans. So when you think about how to make $100,000 as a creator, you need 1,000 true fans to spend $100 a year. Or you can flip that and say you need 100 fans to spend $1,000 a year. I actually think about this idea of 10 true fans spending $10,000 a year.
Drop
and
that.
actually really focusing in on the niche of fandom
Wow,
to
okay.
convert.
Okay, ultra luxury. I'm glad you said that because I have a follow-up for you. I have a follow-up for all of you, so don't get too comfortable. So I do think personal finance wasn't traditionally a fandom category, right? But a lot of people follow finance creators. I know that from working at Viral Nation, money podcasts, investment communities. Obviously, there was a wave, I think, of NFTs and cryptos that are still around, but peaked. What do you think it is about financial content that's related to fandom?
Finance is a really overwhelming, scary topic. It's, I think, the last taboo we have as a society. We'll talk about everything, especially here in France, sexy time, bikini waxes, everything, before we talk about money. And so I think opening up that dialogue is really important to create that sticky audience. Podcasts are a great way to do that because we're seeing podcast growth exploding 7 hours a week. 2/3 of listeners are actually mostly completing or fully completing an episode and converting at really higher clips than other advertising verticals. So when you think about the confusion in finance, I think of it not as a bug, but a feature. And that's why you need people like me to helpfully help people understand and navigate the world of finance. And so creating early on the Finfluencer category I did before it was cool, it was important to actually become a tour guide to this really scary world.
Awesome. Okay, Andrea, this next one's for you. So urban brands has always been, I think, at the intersection of culture, identity, and community. But when you're thinking about building a brand that people want to belong to versus simply buy for, how do you think about different strategies there?
It's interesting that you asked me about that because that's something that I'm grappling every day. I'm the president of one of the brands, FP Movement. And FP Movement is almost a $500 million brand. And those that love us really, really love us. We get hundreds and thousands of women running on a monthly basis all over the US as part of our communities. But there's a depth that's missing for us in terms of like, well, when you describe the brand, what do you think about? And we have been doing a lot of work on thinking, what can we bring to the consumer that is really unique? What can we bring to the girl that none of the other brands are bringing to her? Some of the brands are really focused on, hey, work out because that's how you look sexy. Some other brands are like, work out because you need to win to work out. And some other brands are like, work out because that's the nice thing to do as a woman. And for us in assembling our community has been at the core is work out because that brings you joy. Work out because it unlocks the rest of your life.
Wow.
And that's what we're offering that's different. And I think that there's some real fandom that comes with that. And our clothes are more colorful than other people. And they're more, when you wear something that's ours, people may not know that it's fit for a workout because it just looks great. So with that sense, it's like, hey, how do you create an entire brand that is so authentic to that one consumer that you're really about that they cannot live without and they can't stop talking about?
It's interesting you say that. I've thought about fandom for a while. You know, my fan story was when I was a kid, I went to the Patriots game. It was the snowstorm playoff game, Brady versus Peyton Manning, if anyone remembers that. And the guy in front of me, the coldest game, wet, like definitely dangerous conditions, had no shirt on, just blue body paint. And I remember thinking, why is he that's dangerous. Like, what is it about the Patriots, who I love, shout out Boston, that makes this guy take a personal risk? And I think there is something authentic to, exactly as you described, it's like, it's brand building, it's wearing your identity, it's being colorful, it's showing it, it's the same as sports, and I think there's something in the creator economy about fandom and building your fan community. Anyone care to add?
Well, I'll
Please
expand
do.
upon that. You know, there's a lot of things that we're doing differently in San Francisco because we do want the community to be involved. We are doing our naming. We went out to the community and said, here are some options. Tell us what you want to hear in regards to the name of our team. So it goes back to building that community. We don't want them just to buy a ticket. We want them to be involved. We want them to bring their friends, share content organically. We want them to follow our athletes. Again, you look at our athletes become advocates for our sponsors. And so there's a lot of things that go along with that we're trying to build, not just selling a ticket. It's how do you build that overall fandom, that community, and they feel like they're part of it. So we hope they don't come without a shirt on, but they come completely dressed in red, supporting our team at all costs, whether it's in the stadium, whether it's out in the community, wherever. We want them to be involved and feel like they're part of us.
I love that. And I have a follow-up question for you or for anyone. What signals tell you when someone's crossed from audience to community, when you think they're actually helping build your brand, even though they're not a part of it?
Well, I think I'm sorry, Nicole. I think it's also about when they're wearing it in the community and not just at the games, when they're sharing content, when they're buying products that our athletes are promoting or our sponsors. That's when you know that they're not just showing up to the game and buying a ticket. They are part of the community, and they're helping us spread that and bring everyone with them.
I love that. It's also when I think in sports, is when they bring others to your game.
Exactly.
Yep.
Yeah.
Nicole?
You can't be all things to all people or you're nothing to anyone.
Yeah.
And so how do you get the 10 true people or the 1,000 true people that will take their freaking shirt off in the middle of winter in Boston?
I want these 10,000 pairs on my personal Instagram. Okay, another kind of quote that I would say I hear from conferences like this: all marketing is word of mouth marketing. How do you think, I've heard each of you talk about bringing a friend, wearing something, bringing the community, building your 10. How do you think that quote relates to what you're trying to achieve yourselves or with your brand?
I use this with my team all the time, is that when you're going to a party, if I go to a party and I go and tell everybody I'm really cool, odds are that I'm not that cool. It is only when other people are at the party and they're saying, like, who's really cool? Nicole.
She is.
Like, Nicole's real cool. Other people say she's cool. But if I go in the party and say I'm cool, it's not
People
going
do
to
say
work
that.
out.
People do say that.
Well, there's also that quote that if you have to tell somebody you're powerful, you're not powerful. If you have to tell somebody you're rich, you're not rich.
True.
You have to tell somebody you're cool, you're not cool.
And it's the same with brands. Like, there's the only way for your brand to transcend is for other people to talk about you. even if you do an out of home. I was yesterday with Joy Howard from Back Market, and I don't know who's in New York, but if you're in New York, you've seen the Back Market ads on the subway. And I love them because there's no measurement with how effective her out of home is right now. Because you see it and you're like, oh, and you want to tell other people about it. And then you put it on Twitter, and then a creator talks about it. And you're like, all right, she may have spent, whatever, $100,000 in that out of home. But the multiplied effect of everyone talking about it is really the value that she's bringing in. And that's across everything we do. If other people talk about it, that's multiplication of value for your brand, for your community, and for the individual that wants to associate with your brand. You want to know that you like things that other people appreciate as well.
Yeah.
And if you look in San Francisco, we're new to the market. They don't really know what volleyball is. They know what the Valkyries, they know Bay FC, but what about the volleyball? So we're having to educate of who we are and why they should become a fan. And that's by us going out into the community. And to your point, we want them talking about it at the parties. We want them talking about the other games and figuring out how can we become that staple within the community of the premier volleyball without us having to say it.
Yep. I think a lot of the bigger brands are trying to move from awareness to perception. Awareness is what you say when you're in the room. Perception is what people say about you when you're not in the room, which I think is kind of what we're all getting at, and that's where the fans come in. Do you ever think about a fan that doesn't carry your brand message, or is there a way that you guide them with merchandise, with slogans, with anything else, with your followership, to make sure that they're really an extension and reflection of your brand?
I think that's a lot about talking about our values of who we want to be and what we're trying to be to the community. You know, our values are very important to us, to our athletes, but also to our fans. And as long as we're out there living by our values, we hope that that will transition to our fans as well.
I think some of the old literature of like, hey, the hero's journey, and every story is about a hero. It's a story of any fan of a brand as well. And as a brand, you know, the heroes need amulets that let you know that you're part of something. The heroes need a Sherpa of sorts that guides them through the experience. A hero needs commonality. It's the same thing as culture. There has to have some certain things that you know that you belong to a group. And as a brand, you try to create those, whether it's for us, Run Club, whether it's for other brands, a logo, whether for other brands is an influencer or a creator that they have a long-term relationship with. It's all about giving them the same shared language.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you can have a Sherpa for everybody, right?
Yeah.
Like, you
No,
don't
you're-
have to
you're
be
correct.
everybody's Sherpa, and you're not everybody's guru, and that's okay. And, you know, Gary Vee talks about, he came on the show talking about day trading attention. I, of course, have to argue with that. I love Gary, but I think it's long-term trading versus short-term day trading, right? It's the long game. We are laser focused on the LTV of our customer versus a short-term customer acquisition for what is the short-term value we can get from them. And over time, if we think about in finance, the long-term value is $100,000 per customer. And so that is a long, long game. And instead of trying to day trade that attention, we're trying to get the most dividends overall.
And I'll go ahead and expand upon that, Nicole. We're in a relationship business. We want to build long-term relationships with our fan, not just transactional, buy a ticket and come into the game. How do we build that long-term relationship where as we grow, they grow with us? And so exactly your point.
To Andrea's point, I really like the quote, "We're all the hero in our own story." Like, it's so true. I mean, most people are doing things for a reason. They think from their perspective it's right or emboldened. And so, like, that's how I think about storytelling, is the brand's goal is to make everyone feel like they're part of that story, and that's the story they want to tell. Okay, I want to double click on what you said. So let's talk about, you know, I'm at Viral Nation. We do a lot of work with creators, social. Let's talk about brand partnerships. How do you guys think about ones that are kind of paid and intentional versus ones that are just organic and people love your brand, your identity, your community, and just kind of come out of the blue?
Well, I think on our side, we love the organic versus the paid. We want to make sure that they're engaged and they're there for the right reasons. Let's just say that. It's not, to your point, it's a relationship, it's not transactional. So, of course, there's a time and place for each one, but in our world, we want to build that organically with our community so we have the ability to keep them on a long-term basis. And that's whether they're involved with the athletes. We look at our athletes and how do our athletes have brand partnerships. We look at the statistics behind, women purchase more from athletes because they're relatable than most influencers. So we feel like that's really the better route to go for us on the sports side than necessarily paid influencers.
So one follow-up on that. How do you, as an owner, think about the athletes' brands? Are they sub-brands to you? Do you try to control them? I'm imagining they're emerging social media personalities and stars themselves.
I'm going to speak from my position, not everyone's
Please,
position,
please.
but I don't think we should control them. I
Okay.
think we should support them. I think we should, anything that they're doing is going to benefit us and vice versa. Now, again, we want to make sure that they hold the same values, but why would we not want to help assist them getting those partnerships and those sponsors? Because again, it's going to help all parties at the same time. So I don't think we should control them. I think, obviously if there's one that doesn't meet our standards, we may jump in there at some point.
Sever ties.
But we do want to support them. It's very important for us to continue to elevate our women, both our athletes, our staff, all of them. And we do that by assisting them on those partnerships.
Love that. Andrea, you look like you have something you want to get out.
No, I was reflecting on what you're saying and thinking about the Atlanta WNBA team. I'm like, yeah, how many more people want to partner with them since Angel Reese came to that team?
Yes.
And that's an example of having like, hey, you bring someone with extremely like great clout, and therefore other people are going to see, well, maybe Angel, I'm priced out of Angel, or I want to support other things, but I can support the dream as a team, and then that generates revenue for them. So I'm absolutely aligned that, again, even if it's not every owner's philosophy, I'm delighted to hear that's yours.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
Do you think her fandom rivals the team's fandom? If she were to leave, would a huge percentage of the fans, you think, go with her?
Well, it is more common now with Gen Z that they follow an athlete over a team, but
That's
I
the
think
risk.
that is also a matter of the team not taking the advantage of creating community with that fan while they're there. I think there's abilities now to be both and follow, let's say Angel moves to another team, follow her, but as well say like, hey, but I went to a dream game and I had a great experience and now I have season tickets and I have a 3-year-old, and I'm like, oh, and then her first game that she ever went of basketball was with Angel Reese, and my 3-year-old's gonna be like 5'3", on a lucky day, so probably not a WNBA material.
Maybe.
But at least she'll have, the dream. At least middle school material, thanks to Angel Reese. I can see that.
Yeah.
I mean, I know finance is new. We're the nerds in the fandom category. Thank you so much.
We're big fans of you.
Thank you so much. Nerds are cool now. And I think that when I was at bigger networks, I was at CNBC and Bloomberg and CNN, and I was terrified that I would have to, you started off with NFTs and crypto, that I would have to read an FTX ad,
Yes.
God forbid. And I think that before I started Money News Network, that was a huge risk. And that's a huge risk to credibility that I've built for the last 20 years too. And so you have to think about saying no sometimes to those big checks, which is really, really hard to do.
Yeah. Well, I have a follow-up for you because, I think at Cannes, everyone here is a brand builder. Everyone here is a brand builder, and we all know that reputation is your most valuable asset. You can build a brand, you could build a Coke or a Pepsi, and nothing is worth really, I think, marring that brand identity that's been built over decades. So especially in financial services, how do you think about the downside or the risk? There is a lot of fraud probably out there and in any vertical, but how do you think about that?
It's the biggest thing. I wouldn't bring an advertiser or partner onto the network that I wouldn't use myself.
Right.
And we're super, super clear and laser focused around who our customer is. And that customer is somebody who's making a big financial decision on the precipice of making a huge financial decision. And that's not the most ginormous audience, but it's a niche audience that we're seeing winning in this category. The TPBN acquisition is a huge marker of that.
Huge.
Not the biggest audience, not the biggest reach, but I don't think that that's what we're optimizing for anymore.
100%.
I love that, Nicole, because at those moments of making big decisions, people are seeking for that information. If you become a trusted partner
Yes.
for that person, they'll become your fans for life. They're like,
Amen.
hey, you were with me when I had to make this big decision. What you suggested was not to get a cyberpunk, but actually to invest my money in X way. And therefore now I have money for retirement, and thanks to you. So going back to your LTV, I think that's a great strategy for
Yes,
fandom.
agreed.
Sister? Can we
Well, and
use
I'll go
that
ahead
as
and
an
say, yeah, in regards to the athletes, I mean, we're not going to recruit athletes that we don't think have the same values that we have.
Right.
So again, it's also important to pick the people that you bring with you. And I, as previous CEO hat, if someone left my organization, I would applaud them because that means I did my job to get them to that next level. But what I'm trying to do in the meantime is build a better organization behind them so nobody wants to leave. And that really correlates to sports as well. So we may lose that player, but we've already built them as a fan because they're enjoying the overall. So that's our job to make sure that those fans don't go anywhere.
I love that.
That's also a great point because the greatest organizations create fandom for their employees as well.
Yes.
And those communities like Nike, I'm an alumni of Nike, an alum of Nike, and we have a strong alumni community. McKinsey, one of the largest consultings, has a strong like you look at that, and like I'm sure Viral Nation, when you guys like
We got
no
a
one
great
leaves,
alumni. We got great
no one
community.
leaves, but but if they did, they will have a strong connection to the brand. So.
Yeah.
It's true. I think of it like fast fashion versus couture. And if you're in that fast fashion world looking for that quick fix, you're not going to gain that lifelong value, lifelong fan over time. It's easier to get a good, quick EBITDA bump, but over time, you're actually going to yield more value.
And I will share one thing for our fans out there. At Viral Nation, we're seeing a rise for brands looking at employee as influencer model. So they come to us and they want their executive team and their employees, very cheap, by the way, $0 usually, to kind of be the brand ambassador. So those are a really untapped resource when it comes to fandom. They know the product. It's part of their life. A lot of hours are spent at the day. So I think that's an interesting trend to look at. All right, the panel is fandom is the new funnel. Let's talk about the marketing funnel. So I want to go each of you. Where do you think fandom plays on the marketing funnel? You can say all three phases, but feel free to double click on one.
I think of our funnel now as a CPM to AUM model, and so we've switched it around, and the CPM at the top of the funnel will ultimately cancel out what we're bringing down to the bottom of funnel, but that's the ultimate long-term value that we're seeing for our clients and our customers. And so wealth management is where we meet our customer where they are at every step of the game, but we're not focused on selling the ads and the quick fixes as much as we are building that 10-year-long relationship.
Love that.
I think, it's throughout the funnel. I love your new way of looking at it. At the end of the day, it's all about trust. And how am I gonna, if I trust you, I'm gonna wanna know what your ideas are, so it plays with awareness. And if I trust you, I'm gonna trust that you're recommending something for me that I will want to purchase. So then with conversion as well. So you look across and you're like, yeah, if you have a true fan, that true fan can multiply what you do endlessly.
Well, they've pretty much said it all. Exactly. I mean, we want to build that long term. So it starts at the top, goes all the way to the bottom. And we look at how do we build that trust and how does that generate additional revenues in each line. And so I do think the same thing. As long as we build that trust with them, we're going to see that expand over time, whether that's organically, whether that's coming to there's so many different ways of doing it. Right now we're just testing a lot of different things to see how can we get that fandom in and where's the best place to put in the marketing funnel.
I love that. That actually was my next question, was about trust. All of us have the experience where we want to buy a product and we go and do some research. But who do you trust? Are you someone who goes to Reddit? Are you someone who asks a friend and family? Are you someone who kind of watches a YouTube review where they go through 10 toasters and the 11th one as they pick? I think there's something important there about how trust is earned across all these verticals right now. Care to speak about that as it relates to fandom and how your fans can be your trusted voice? Let's start with Nicole.
I'm biased, but I think right now podcasting is the place that you're finding.
Yes.
Thank you for the cosign.
100%. Cosign.
Cosign all the way. Podcasting is actually a very intimate medium. I think of being in somebody's ear hole, which almost sounds wrong, but you are. You're having a very intimate conversation with them, and study after study, and the data has shown that people are more likely to convert, but also be less annoyed by the ad that's being read by one of their favorite podcasting hosts. So I'm ultimately long-term bullish.
It speaks to me. I'm someone who always has a podcast on in my ear. I'm cleaning, I'm commuting, and I'm always there is something really intimate about it. It's a very interesting kind of medium that also was was old and now is new in some ways, and it's just
Last year, podcasting surpassed terrestrial radio as that go-to audio platform, and so we're growing, 100% year over year right now, and I think it's just the beginning.
cool. I'll be sure to tune in. Andrea?
I mean, big fan of podcasting, big fan of Nicole's podcast, so cool sign there. For us, honestly, Reddit has emerged for sure as a platform where we're looking for kind of that next level trust because people just speak their minds.
Yes.
And you having the ability to inject the right information in those venues, but also respect and maybe learn from what people are saying is important. We learned about a year ago that people thought that our jackets were not that technical because of Reddit. And what we did was we did a campaign where we showed them that they were technical by taking women to the Glacier National Park and get them soaking wet, getting creators. And they wouldn't get wet in our jackets. So we're just saying like, hey, thank you, Reddit, but this is the thing. But we would have not had that insight if people were not being people that like the brand. Because if someone's talking about your brand, they care enough to give you an opinion.
Yes.
So they're caring enough to say something about our brand. We want to either correct it or show the right information.
Yes.
So that has been a good source of insights for us as a brand.
Yes, and let me add one thing. I think, shout out to eMarketer, see Evan out there. I don't know if anyone read the eMarketer time spent report, but there is something unique about Reddit happening right now. So social media time's actually petering out at I think 2 hours in a minute or something. So it's not going to grow forever. It can't be infinite time spent. And believe it or not, I think it's actually coming to a stop its growth. But Reddit is one of the platforms that is still growing, and I think not just growing, but is trusted.
And less recall.
And less recall. So a lot of brands are thinking about their Reddit strategy, and there's a whole fandom community there. Chantel?
Well, I just want to point out, really, ours is around our athletes, too. Again, women's sports fans will purchase 80% more from an athlete versus an influencer. And why is that? Because the content is out there. They want to know the person. They're relatable.
Yes.
They start to trust them because they see themselves in them. And I think that that's really important on our side, is to make sure that we highlight those athletes so people see that. They understand their story, where they came from. You see the NFL's trying to do that right now with taking the helmets off, where their players become more relatable.
Yes.
Well, we're already doing that. So again, it's building that trust, which is going to ultimately help us. A little bit different because we don't have necessarily a retail product. I guess we do merchandise, but it gives us the ability to bring those fans in and really
100%.
accelerate that.
100%. So Andrea, again, led my next question. So we've talked about fans as an output so far, right? They're getting your message out. But how do each of you learn from your fans? I mean, it's the same thing with social media. We used to think it as only an amplifier, and now we think the best brands are actually learning the most insight from it. So why don't you each share one insight that you've learned from fans of your community and your product? I mean, you shared a beautiful one from Reddit, which is exactly how the best campaigns are produced, but please feel free to share.
One of the insights that we learned about the women that love our brand is precisely that. It's like, hey, you are the brand that I feel like I'm not working out for some external validation, whether it is my body being appreciated by others or whether it is to win a medal or anything. You are the brand that's speaking to us about how intrinsically working out can unlock the rest of our lives. And I think we inherently thought that may be the case in our differentiation, but it's been great learning from consumers that they want us to double down on that and double down on sports and physical activity as the unlock for other things. And if you think about it, that influences then everything you do because it influences who you partner with, what kind of athlete you partner with. Because if you don't need to partner with the hottest supermodel or the athlete that's the #1 in the world to create that message, you got to think about like what are the influencers from micro to macro that are going to tell that story. If it's about like, hey, it's about you're a women's brand that supports women, then it's all right. So then who do we look at? Who do we support next? We're big on studios that are owned by women, how we tell those stories. So really on finding out that insight has impacted everything we do around our marketing mix.
I love that. And I love how you took the insight and actually did something with it. Nicole, from your fandom?
So we actually source all of our questions and our material for episodes from our audience. It's really interesting because a lot of these questions can get answered very easily by Claude or ChatGPT, but why are they asking us? And so we really are focused on adding that human element in, adding the texture, adding the storytelling, and as well, we also want to reverse engineer and figure out how those questions lead us to expand our podcast network to find the right hosts and find the right Sherpas and the right gurus for each individual niche, because the niche is winning. Like you said, it's not about the biggest reach. It's about finding the sliver that's going to resonate the most. So I would think of it as first getting the questions and then reverse engineering how to figure out how to get the answers to the right people.
The niche stays winning. True.
Thank you.
Chantel?
Well, and as a league, we've learned a lot from the previous seasons, and we can continue to get insight from our fans in regards to having children at the game. How can we entertain the children? Our merchandise sales. So we do a lot with wanting that information back from our season ticket holders, from new fans, so we can adjust and or pivot in certain situations if we think it's not being effective for our fans. Families, for instance, I want to bring my kids to the game, but it's not very conducive to the kids. We do activations now before the game so the kids aren't bored. So there's things that we try to do to make sure that our fans are getting what they need, but in order for us to do that, we encourage them to help us by giving us feedback.
I love that. And where do you get that feedback? Is that surveys and...
We do surveys online. Usually they'll be more than happy to tell you, but we also have brand ambassadors. We have people out in the community as well. We want them to talk to us so we can have those organic conversations and people feel free to give us that insight versus not.
Very smart, very smart. All right, new fans. Do you have a question? Yeah, please.
Okay, what comes first? Do you build around the fan, or do you find the community and then find the fans in the community to bring them out? Is it the chicken or the egg? Which one is first?
Are you
we
happy
we may have different opinions on this. I spent way too much time at Nike, so it's embedded in my head, the things, and one of the maxims was the consumer decides. And it was came from Bill Bowerman and Phil Knight saying, always listen to the voice of the athlete. And that's really singular. It's about who is the athlete, what does the athlete need, and if you solve for the person that has the most needs with your brand, then you'll be able to channel to everybody else. So it has been primarily thinking, what does this person want? Because even the definition of community will change depending on who this person is. But, we may have different...
Well, we picked the community because we knew that San Francisco was the #1 market for women's sports. You look at the Valkyries, Bay FC, we chose the community, and now we're out in the community converting those fans into our fans. So ours was a little bit different because we looked at the community first and then going after the fans.
Yeah, are you happy because you whistle, or are you whistle because you're happy? I don't know. And I think that for us, our fans didn't know they had a community. And they didn't know that there were other people struggling about finances or about business until we identified them, and until we also were the curator and the moderator of those questions or of that feedback too, because we're in that nerdy space of compliance. So we have to dance around what's compliant, but also push that. So we know the rules, and that's how we sort of can push the rules, not break the rules, but get creative around the rules, nudge the rules. But that's important because we also have to be the arbiter of what those fans' questions are so that they can find the community they didn't even know they had.
Awesome. All right, well, it has been such a pleasure. Can I get a round of applause? So I'm going to pass the mic around. If anyone wants to talk about fandom, I want you to know where to reach us. I'm Nicholas Spiro. Find me on LinkedIn. If anyone wants to talk to Viral Nation about anything social, creator related to fandom, please find me. Where can people find you?
You can find us moneynewsnetwork.com. You can listen to Money Rehab wherever you get your favorite podcasts, or check out Private Wealth Collective for your free portfolio review.
I'm a subscriber.
Andrea Perez, Andrea G. Perez on LinkedIn, because apparently there's many Andrea Perez's with many occupations. And you can find FP Movement on Instagram. Become part of our community. You will love us.
FP Movement.
Chantel Preston, Instagram, LOVBSF is our handle, as well as LOVBSF.com. And then obviously chantelpreston.com is my personal.
Oh, I subscribe to all of them. You should too. And thank you, everyone.